As Africa's #1 retailer, Shoprite is an empire at the pinnacle of its success. The company has a market cap of $9 billion, annual revenues of $12 billion, and a gross profit of $3 billion. Beyond maintaining its dominance, the supermarket chain is achieving remarkable growth across its operations, cementing its position as the retail giant of the continent. With deep pockets, a bold strategy, and unmatched confidence, Shoprite seemed poised to conquer the biggest market in East Africa, Kenya. The conditions were perfect, the collapse of a giant creating a power vacuum, prime locations available for cheap, and a fast-growing economy brimming with potential. But what happens when calculated confidence turns into reckless overreach? In this episode, we explore how Africa's biggest retailer misread Kenya's market so badly, and what this misstep means for Shoprite's broader African expansion. Let's get to it. In 2018, amidst the chaos of Kenya's retail sector, Shoprite saw an opportunity. A chance to rewrite the rules and stake its claim in East Africa's most vibrant market. The South African giant unveiled its ambitious plans to reshape and dominate Kenya's retail landscape. To do so, it aimed to open 7 stores in the span of a few months, with 6 of them strategically positioned in Nairobi. And so, the conquest began. Shoprite's Kenyan debut started by the launch of its flagship store in Westgate Mall. The store was a dazzling spectacle of premium design, carefully crafted to signal Shoprite's grand ambitions. But would it resonate with Kenyan shoppers? Historically, Kenyan consumers are known for their loyalty to homegrown brands and are also very suspicious of untested foreign players. Nonetheless, within months of the first shop opening, another one was already in the works at the iconic Garden City Mall. But what exactly fueled this aggressive approach? A perfect storm of opportunities in the Kenyan retail sector. At the time, Nakumatt, the country's largest supermarket chain, was in financial freefall. The retail giant, once synonymous with convenience and trust, crumbled spectacularly, leaving behind empty aisles, unpaid suppliers, and a retail void begging to be filled. For Shoprite, this marked the perfect time for entering a new market. Peter Engelbrecht, Shoprite's CEO, called the Kenyan retail sector in total disarray and saw this as a golden opportunity to secure prime retail locations at bargain prices. The retailer got handed the keys to the best houses in the best neighborhood because the previous tenants couldn't pay their bills. Kenya's economic backdrop added another layer of appeal to Shoprite's decision. With its economy projected to grow by 6%, rising consumer spending promised fertile ground for formal retail to thrive. For the South African giant, it was the perfect time to strike. Just as Carrefour had done, Shoprite's entry was strategic, targeting Kenya's growing middle class and the country's relatively underdeveloped formal retail market. Shoprite also saw its Kenyan expansion as a way to strengthen its presence in East Africa, complementing its operations in neighboring countries. By entering Kenya, the company hoped to build a regional network that would serve as a springboard for further growth. Shoprite CEO's vision was clear: dominate early, secure the best locations, and fill the gap left by failing competitors. He even announced plans to open 92 stores across Africa within 18 months, Kenya being a significant part of this broader strategy. At first glance, everything seemed to align perfectly. Shoprite was optimistic, boosted by its experience and its status as Africa's biggest retailer. The Kenyan market on its end seemed ready. The void, left by the many failing retailer and recently Nakumatt, presented a rare moment in time. And so, competition wasted no time trying to fill that void. Carrefour, the French retailer, rapidly gained traction, leveraging its global expertise and targeting similar demographics, while Naivas capitalized on its deep local knowledge to build customer loyalty. It was a bold and ambitious entry, but as we'll see next, ambition alone doesn't guarantee success. What derailed Shoprite's grand plan in Kenya? Was it miscalculated confidence or reckless overreach? Started with a grand entrance and a bold strategy, Shoprite's ambitions in Kenya quickly unraveled. The country's retail market turned out to be far more competitive and stable than management anticipated. not really in disarray. Local players like Naivas and Tuskys had deep-rooted networks and a keen understanding of Kenyan shoppers' needs. And the French giant, Carrefour, which had entered the market 2 years prior, was already winning consumers over, with a mix of affordable pricing, a strong loyalty program, and a value-for-money shopping experience. While Shoprite positioned its stores as premium outlets, similar to its Checkers banner in South Africa, Kenyan shoppers were far more value-conscious. The mismatch was glaring. Competitors thrived by offering affordable essentials, and Shoprite struggled to convince price-sensitive consumers to embrace its high-end positioning. Kenyan shoppers clearly rejected the premium experience the South African giant offered them. The retailer was also battling supply chain issues. Direct deliveries to branches turned into logistical chaos. Shelves went bare, customers left frustrated. The pandemic delivered the crushing blow to Shoprite's Kenyan dream. Lockdowns drastically reduced foot traffic in malls, Shoprite's main operating environment. So 2 years after the beginning of the conquest, the South African retailer had opened just 4 stores. 3 in Nairobi and 1 in Mombasa, falling short of the 7 it initially planned. The real sign of trouble came with the closure of its waterfront branch in Karen, one of the poshest neighborhoods in Nairobi, just 8 months after opening, followed by the closure of its City Mall store in Mombasa. Shoprite's rigid business model and high operating costs left little room for adaptation, while its rivals adjusted to market dynamics, and it shows in the financials. The retailer reported a staggering $29 million in losses for the 2020 financial year. That's the price paid for underestimating Kenya. Frustrated with missed expectations, ruthless competitors, and mounting challenges, the South African giant had gone from being a potential game-changer in Kenya's retail industry to announcing a complete market exit. In September 2020, Shoprite announced its official exit from Kenya, marking the end of an ambitious but short-lived venture. The retailer entered Kenya with the confidence of a giant, only to shrink and exit within 2 years, showing that even the most dominant retailer in Africa can't afford to take things for granted in Kenya. But why did Shoprite pull the plug so early? One of the main reasons was consistent underperformance. All Kenyan stores failed to meet the company's stringent return on investment expectations time and time again. However, Kenya was just one chapter in Shoprite's broader story across the continent, a narrative marked by both triumphs and turbulence. For decades, Shoprite has been synonymous with retail success in Africa. The retailer operates in 14 African countries outside its home market of South Africa, with a footprint that spans over 460 stores. Its strategy often revolves around entering markets with strong economic drivers and managing risks. The giant has had notable victories in certain African markets. Despite economic turbulence, the retailer has established Angola as its largest non-South African contributor to sales. There, Shoprite operates 30 supermarkets and has made substantial investments in the country. Shoprite also commands over 39% of Zambia's retail market, positioning itself as a price leader in an economy grappling with high inflation. This approach ensures consistent customer loyalty despite economic challenges. Moreover, Kenya isn't the only market Shoprite has exited in recent years. Egypt, another high-potential market, proved too difficult to navigate due to logistical and cultural differences. In Nigeria, the retailer scaled back its operations significantly, citing the same profitability concerns that plagued Kenya. These exits are now part of a broader pivot to consolidate resources and double down on high-performing regions. While stepping back in East Africa, the company has invested heavily in its South African operations, which remain its largest revenue driver. Here, Shoprite thrives on its cost leadership model, leveraging massive economies of scale and streamlined logistics to keep prices low and shelves well stocked. But even when we try to consider the big picture, Shoprite's retreat from Kenya was a failure and a strategic misstep. Because a store closed is a store closed. The Kenyan retail sector presents unique hurdles that demand more than simply replicating a successful model from another market. Unfortunately, the company underestimated everything: the consumers, the supply chain, and most importantly, the competition. This points to the ambition and impatience of management. Tuskys, once a retail giant, was teetering on the edge of collapse. Meanwhile, Naivas and Carrefour were aggressively seizing market share. And then there was Nakumatt, the fallen titan that once dominated Kenya's retail landscape. It was this chaotic reshuffling of power that tempted Shoprite to take its shot in Kenya. But what led to Kenya's largest retail failure? To find out, check out our episode on Nakumatt here. Thank you for your time and see you in the next episode.